Hey there, Dream Chasers. This is Hannah Pryde, and welcome to Pryde and Shine, the podcast where we explore the innovators and influencers of Dubai. Proudly sponsored by Pryde Migration, your dedicated partner to make Dubai your reality. Welcome to the show, Chris Vahanian, serial entrepreneur of probably the well-known Lab Studios, Organic Press, and Fio Athletics. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great, Hannah.
We're more than happy to have you on. I'm super excited because you're in a field that I am so interested right now. We've just spoken about it, but honestly, in 2025, this massive movement towards wellness in Dubai is crazy, and you're in every single area of it. How is it being in it?
Honestly, it's been great. A little bit about my entrepreneurial journey, so I'll give you a little backstory. It started off 10 years ago, all right? From what I believe, at least through my experience, entrepreneurship starts with 3 Ps, okay? A pain, a passion, or a profession. And I'll elaborate between the 3 before I tell you my story. A pain, if you don't have a product, you want to create that product for you. You know, it doesn't exist. A service, you want to create that service, doesn't exist. So you solve that pain point, you solve that problem, you're an entrepreneur. A profession, you currently work at a service, you currently work at a company, but you've hit a dead end with that job and you feel that you can do a lot better. You create that business model for yourself. So you're an entrepreneur in that sense. Passion, if you love a product, you love a service, and you just think with all your heart that you want to go for it, that's passion. You created something, you're an entrepreneur. So for me, 10 years ago, when I just left Los Angeles after university, I hit a bit of a struggle in finding a steady job there. My brother was actually the one who introduced entrepreneurship to me. He's like, I have an idea.
Oh, really?
All right, how about we start up a juice company? There's not a lot of products in Dubai that sell healthy juice drinks without preservatives, without additives, without any sugars. So how about you join me on this journey? So I was kind of introduced into entrepreneurship. It was never my initial idea. So for me, that first phase of my life was a profession. You know, entrepreneurship was a profession. It was a job for me. But I took it with a grain of salt and I took on to that challenge. And we built a brand, a very successful brand nonetheless.
It's super successful.
It's still going on right now, 10 years strong. And what I've learned over the course of a couple of years with that brand, I'll never get to. It's with me forever, right?
It's your baby.
It's my
your
baby.
First baby.
So that was my entrepreneurship journey through a profession, right? For me, growing up, I've always been in love with fitness. I wanted something in the fitness industry, so I had a passion for it, and that's where I wanted to introduce a clothing or merchandise line for myself, and that's where Fio Athletics came about. So I created a brand through profession. I created a brand through passion. But you know what they say, creating a brand through passion is one of the hardest things to do because you just love it, but you have no direction or no idea of how it's going to go through, right? So developing that brand for Fio not only was a massive struggle for me, but it was a big learning curve. I invested so much financially, so much of my time, but I learned a lot, right? In parallel, through my financial hardship with Fio, I was working at another fitness studio at the time just to make some supplemental income. But I knew it deep down inside that I could create something much more extraordinary. I could create a service that's almost impeccable to that, all right? So that's where the Lab Studios idea came about. So it was a passion of mine because it was still in the fitness space. It was building a business through profession because I worked in that space, so I understood the business model. And it was a pain point for me because what we offer right now at the lab doesn't exist anywhere in Dubai. So I hit the 3 Ps with the last project. And for me, by hitting these 3 Ps, I believe we've created such a beautiful brand that's growing rapidly.
It's growing massively.
So that's a quick snippet of my 10-year entrepreneurship journey.
I mean, and you've done it so well. And what I find so interesting is each business can feed each other in the sense that the lab can host the juices and the clothing brand if it wanted to. Going to your lab studio, your baby, one of the coolest gyms in Dubai, Where did you find, obviously you said you had your supplemental job working there. Where did you find what they done wrong to set up the lab?
So we're currently in a service industry, right? I have a background in fitness as well. So two things that were missing was the community aspect of the brand and the quality of training. So we set ourselves apart from every other fitness studio in Dubai. Every other fitness studio in Dubai is generic.
Yeah.
But what sets the lab apart is the quality of training. Number two is the community that we're growing. And number three, I would say, is the passion for everyone that's currently working there. If you come to the lab, the energy is just a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I don't say that because it belongs to us. I say that because I hear that from every individual client or customer that comes through the door. It's commonly repeated. So I truly believe that these three things set us apart. What we've done is we're just so original in what we've created.
Yeah.
We're not going to beat our competitors at their own game, but we can beat them at our game.
Yeah.
So we created our own story. We created our originality. We created our own unique perspective of how we run a fitness studio. We're against the norm.
Of course.
And I think because we've done that, it set us apart from every other fitness studio in town. So with that being said, it's attracted people to explore what we've created. And once they've come to have a look at what we've done, they're hooked.
100%. And I think two key points you've actually focused on there that I want to touch on is community. Everyone that moves to Dubai, I think like 75% minimum of this population is an expat. They're looking for a community, and a lot of the gyms all around the world, not only in Dubai, have that hollow effect. They go there, they train, they leave. And a lot of people struggle to make friends, and having the lab studio focus on community, people can go there, make friends, and feel a part of something. How did you fundamentally build the community?
So basically, fundamentally how we did it, we were just ourselves, really. You know, we understood that. So I'm 34. I'm a millennial, right? When I grew up, the way I got to meet people was to go out over a drink at a bar, at a club. That's how I met people. But nowadays, moving forward, lifestyle's changing. The world is adapting into a completely different normal. Gen X, Gen Z population or generations, they don't want to go out. You know, there's a study in place saying that in the next 15, 20 years, alcohol consumption is going to be at its all-time low because nobody wants to go out and drink anymore. Everyone's taking care of their health. Gen X, Gen Z, they want to meet people through community clubs. They want to meet people through social interactions, things that they can tie into together. Fitness, wellness, community. Can they do that while meeting people in the same field of what they like? And luckily enough, when we started off the brand, The Lab, 2 years ago, our main focus was community. It was about building an organization where everyone loved to be part of. So that was already our mission from the get-go. We didn't have an idea or a structure, we have to focus on community. We wanted to build the lab as a safe space for everyone to come in and enjoy and just be themselves. I think because we were so original in that aspect, the community just grew naturally. And because you've seen a shift in 2024 to 2025 of social run clubs growing, social wellness spaces, more people focusing on their health, biohacking, this has all become a big, massive shift over the last year and a half. We're just so lucky that we just happen to be in the right spot at the right time, focusing on those similar aspects. So in my mind, I feel we were a little bit ahead of the game.
You were definitely ahead of the game. I moved here 5 years ago. We've only really seen communities and run clubs, I would say, in the last like 6 to 8 months. And now we were speaking about it. There is like, what, a 50% increase in run clubs. If you go to Kite Beach, it's filled with them. And I think you were ahead of the schedule, just like Organic Press. You were ahead of something before it was already there. And you're obviously very good at spotting a gap in the market. So how would you say you then, people are obviously attracted to the community within the lab, but how would you say you continue that membership and that continue to show up? Because you're in a field, let's be serious, in Dubai, that there's now so many gyms. There is a gym on every corner. Every building has a gym. And I laugh because I'll have clients selling real estate like, the gym's rubbish. And I'm like, ask yourself, do you have a gym membership?
Yeah.
I used to have 3 gym memberships, and I have a gym in my building, but it's just something in Dubai. People want it, as I said, for that community feel where so many missed it. So how have you been able to build yours so strong that people continue to pay and continue to show up?
So, you know, you're right, Hannah. I'm in 3 different fields that are in a trendy industry. You
really
know, because
trendy right
tomorrow,
now.
if the trend dies, my businesses tend to fail, right? But one of the things that keep me ahead of the game is, number 1, adaptability.
Yeah.
You have to adapt to the area around you. You have to adapt to your consumer preferences. For me, especially right now with the lab, it's more about vertical integration within my facility and to add more value to my members currently. We have tons of people coming in through the door. We've got 1,000 members going in and out of the door throughout the entire week. But how can I offer more to them? You know, it's not just a space for fitness, you come and you do your workout. So right now we've offered 4 different types of workouts, right? We've just recently added the reformer Pilates concept because it's a big thing in Dubai right now. Every neighborhood community has a reformer Pilates gym opening up, right? So
and they're expensive.
They're expensive, so we had to offer it. We wanted to be a one-stop shop for all things fitness. So we've got your strength and conditioning, we've got your high-intensity workouts, we've got your indoor cycling if you like a little dance, you know, we've got your reformer Pilates if you want a little bit of recovery stretch. We've got the fuel bar, our little cafe section. But what we're also working on right now is ice baths, saunas, longevity, wellness. On top of that, we're currently working on developing our own supplement range. You know, so it's all about adding value to our community, adding value to our members, so that when they feel that they come to the lab studios, they've got an A to Z approach, a full 360 approach. They're taken care of. Everything is offered to them from a fitness and wellness perspective. So we just got to keep innovating, really.
Yeah.
It's all about the innovation. It's all about creating something exciting. Like one very important aspect, High Rocks about 1.5 years ago almost was non-existent.
It's crazy.
High
I think
Rocks
it's going to
almost-
overtake
yeah.
CrossFit.
I think it's already along the way. I think it's already along the way. So High Rocks was almost non-existent 1.5 years ago. But when we started the lab, we didn't think about High Rocks, right? Because it just didn't exist. But now you see the trend of High Rocks moving into it. So we as a studio will have to adapt to it because that's what customers want. That's where the world is going. So tomorrow, for example, if out of the blue boxing becomes such a massive thing, the lab will be sure to do it because it is what people want. So that's one beautiful thing about the lab, is we're adaptive to what our consumer wants, because at the end of the day, it's not really about the workout, it's about the experience.
100%. And I think that's where a lot of people miss. But it's something that you said at the start, your employees are passionate about the lab, and that's what thrives through. How have you been able to attract passionate employees that are also flexible to change? Because I think a lot of people hire people and then you're like, we need to add this class, and they're like, well, I can't do it, or we need to do this. How have you been able to attract these employees that are both adaptable to change and challenge, but also passionate?
So that's a very, very interesting question. So the way we do that, or at least I would say my responsibility as one of the founders, is to offer career progression within the brand. You know, people want to be part of a brand that's growing. People want to be part of something exciting that has future scalability. So myself as a founder, I have to create a vision. I have to create a story, a narrative to the employees, to my colleagues, and get them excited. You know, I'm basically a narrator. I'm basically a storyteller. I share the vision of the brand 5 and 10 years down the line. I get them excited, you know, but the way we get there, we have to adapt to change. So as a storyteller, I get them excited, you know, then they love, because they want to be part of something that grows. Everyone wants to be part of the biggest thing in Dubai. Everybody wants to be part of something that's got scale, right?
Of course.
So you give them that. The second is to invest in them. Skill acquisition is one of the biggest things that I stress upon within my firm. It's about developing skills within my colleagues. You know, whether you're part of the management team or whether you're part of the training team, it's always acquiring new skills. Because let's say, for example, if you're a strength and conditioning coach and then you develop a skill on how to ride a bike, or you develop a skill on how to teach another studio, another concept, you're acquiring skills. Skills that can last with you for a long period of time. If you're on a management route, it's also about skill acquisition, teaching you how to run digital marketing, teaching you how to manage operations, teaching you how to build click funnels, you know, CRM, sales. It's all about hiring colleagues, hiring employees, but offering them a progression within the timeline that they're in at the studio. So I can confidently say that if you join the lab today, and if you were to leave 2-3 years later, you will have developed skills that you can take with you to the next place.
Yeah.
So for me, I can guarantee that if you are part of the lab, you will develop skills. And because of that offering, they love what they're doing. Because it's not just, I'm coming in, I'm doing my 2 hours, I'm doing my 9 to 5, and I'm leaving.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a clock in, clock out.
And you know, I think that's such a beautiful aspect, especially for somewhere like Dubai, as a lot of people come here, maybe don't get the best jobs with the best progression. But the fact you're offering something with an outlined time, an outline framework where they're going to acquire new skills is amazing. And the fact that you're open that they don't have to be with you forever, because some companies don't like to give to their employees to think that it'll make them better to leave. Where if the fact you've said that shows that you have an open and abundant mindset, I would say, to say that you're happy to come through here, you can happy to be a part of the story. You can be a chapter to the story. You don't have to be the full book.
Exactly. And I mean, luckily for me at least, the people who have started with me from day one are still with me. I haven't hit this situation where I had people leave. And I think one of the main reasons for that is because we want to take care of our people.
Yeah.
You know, you're not just another number in our brand. You are part of the story of the lab. You're part of our chapter. You're part of our story, you know, and we need you here. And I think because everyone feels like they have a unique space at the lab, that's what makes them so passionate about working there. And that's the kind of culture we're trying to create and trying to maintain.
And you know, the thing is, the way that Dubai is going, this whole culture in businesses is such a key fundamental. And the fact that you're able to have that culture, especially within a fitness studio, which sometimes doesn't always have the best culture, is amazing. Agreed. You obviously have Organic Press, which is a very interesting story. You brought it here 10 years ago. And for people that don't know, I know we haven't even touched on it, you were brought up in Dubai. So you've been brought up before all the gyms and the glamour and everything else. But again, you went to LA, which we were saying, Dubai is definitely turning into like an LA-esque as such. How has the growth of Organic Press been over the last 10 years, from when you brought it over to now, especially with this craze going on?
It's a very interesting story. You know, my brother and I, we started the brand in 2014. It was a very lean operation, and when I say lean, it was purely built through our little investment, purely built on a very minimal capital. My brother and I, we rented out a small little kitchen space, had a small little juice maker, and we were literally producing juices ourselves.
Really?
I remember I moved here, I was 24. I moved back from LA, I was 24, and I was a juicer. I was a juice maker. I was a juice maker for about a good year. So from 2014 to 2015, I was at the kitchen just juicing. Spent a full day from like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then we would actually deliver the juices ourselves.
Oh, wow.
So we would do that 5 days a week. And we hit a point where my brother and I were just so overwhelmed by the labor work, we couldn't focus on building the brand. So we had to stop the production for quite a while. We had to recruit. We had to recruit a team to like help manufacture the juices. But while my brother was in charge of that, the recruitment, the operational, I was in charge of building the brand from a consumer standpoint. And I think this skill that I learned early on during the Organic Press days has stuck with me and has helped me catapult my other brands.
100%.
And that skill was digital marketing. That skill was selling a product online. I built a blueprint and I studied how to sell products online through e-commerce, through wholesale, through distribution. And because of that skill helped me build Fio, and that skill helped me build the lab as well. But back on Organic Press, we spent a full year juicing. We took a hiatus because we had to build the kitchen. We had to recruit people. And then when the brand was built, when we had the website up and running, when we had all the labels printed, and we had like a nice little front-facing brand, I would say, online, we were part of that Instagram surge in 2014-15. Instagram wasn't quite popular then. There were not many influencers. The growth surge of brands on Instagram were viral in a sense, you know. So we posted our products online, and we would get like 1,000 followers in a day.
It's crazy.
You know, it's hard to get 1,000 followers in a day today. You know, if you're not buying any followers, right? So today, or back in the day, I remember our Instagram just blew up. Like in a week, we had maybe tens of thousands of people just ordering juices. We were so lucky, you know. When it comes to entrepreneurship, it's you need to have a good product, you need to have a good service, you know. But also luck plays a little bit of
some major,
you know, luck,
major facts, and especially being there at the right place. And
exactly.
You learning the digital blueprint that you have obviously been able to transfer into all other businesses such early on. At that time, you could have been like, oh, it's fine, we can just go the traditional way. But you decided to like go ahead with the unknown, I guess, and really push it into the business. What was the hardest challenges of organic press? Like?
So, one of the biggest challenges, as we were building the e-commerce channel, all right, we were selling the products wholesale. We were selling the products through distribution. But because when you sell a product through distribution, we've had tons of cash flow problems. Clients would pay 60 to 90 days and they delay payments, which affects our cash flow. We're unable to produce products, right? So it was my responsibility to really take the reins on the online structure, try and build the brand online, make it viral, have people FOMOing about our products, have every person on the street purchasing, taking a photo of it. It took about a good 6 months to create like a big marketing campaign, a big viral campaign, get influencers to talk about it. Blog posts at the time were a big thing. People were writing products and reviews about our products. So I remember on that 6-month mark after we launched a fully revamped website, the sales started to come. And when it was timed so perfectly because Instagram, the surge on Instagram just hit. We had loads of thousands of followers. Influencers were talking about our product. And then the online channel was just there. So we were getting like 50, 60 orders a day. So the kitchen was busy. The kitchen was rammed. And I think at that point, we kind of knew that, all right, online is a big game changer. We can't just focus our entire overheads on just purely distribution. We have to focus on our online channel because this is the way our brand grows. And for a good 5 years, we just kept with that same method, you know, and it was working. Facebook ads became a big thing. UGC content was a big thing. But once again, organic press was ahead of all of them. You know, we started Facebook ads before every other brand did. We were on an e-commerce channel before any other brand was as well. We targeted influencers before any other brand was doing it. Now it's overly saturated.
It's so overly saturated.
But back in the day, we were the only brand sending products to influencers. We were the only brand sending products to micro-influencers talking about the product.
Where did you get that from? Did you see it in LA? Like, where did you get the inspiration from?
It was just really through Instagram because I was the one on Instagram. I was the one reaching out to everyone. I was doing it myself, right? And it was just crazy because the brand was slowly getting popular, everybody wanted a piece of it, right? So I would reach out to like a fitness influencer and he or she would be like, yeah, I'll do it for free. I'll just take the product for 5 days and I'll post about it.
It's crazy because now people wouldn't, they'd be like hundreds of thousands.
Nowadays it's different because it's shifted. It's so saturated. So how are you going to set yourself apart as an influencer? You're going to charge, you know, it's about the number of followers you have. But back in the day, it was just so easy.
Do you have any regret that you've obviously been able to build organic press into such a strong brand? Do you have any regret that you didn't funnel some of that into building you to be a bigger brand?
Myself?
Yeah.
Honestly, I wouldn't say I have a regret, but during my entrepreneurial journey over the last couple of years, my marketing team have always stressed for the last 5 years that I had to build a personal brand. I have to talk more on social media. I need to be in front of the camera. I need to tell people my story. It's very inspiring. And I'm just like, it's just too much work for me, you know?
It is.
I'll happily come to a podcast. I'll happily speak about my story. But for me to organize that, to build a brand, it's not that I don't want to. I'd love to do it. But there's just so much other things going on in my day that I feel like I don't have time for. Then again, that's just an excuse, right?
I mean, because what I think, because you seem like such a creative, and to be able to build organic juice into such a strong brand and be ahead of the game, I just wonder sometimes if you maybe thought, like, imagine if I'd done it for myself and set the businesses up.
It's crazy because like if you look at it today, you know, a lot of people are doing podcasts and then they all have their niche within their podcast. But I still remember my marketing manager, she told me 5 years ago, where were podcasts 5 years ago? She's like, Chris, you need to set up a podcast. No one's doing it because podcasts back then were just audio.
They were.
Remember, it was just the audio podcast. You would listen to podcasts. You won't watch podcasts.
Yeah.
She was like, you need to get in front of the camera. You have very good personality. People will watch you forever. I was like, yeah, okay, maybe. You know, push it. But now you look at it today, you go, oh, God damn it.
It's crazy.
Should have done it 5 years
Especially when
ago.
you think of some of the podcasters that are out there, like Alex Cooper and Jay Shetty. They all started in 2019 when you were told.
Yeah.
Wild. Organic juice. What have you seen as the biggest shift in the 10 years for being in Dubai?
From the organic press?
Yeah.
The biggest shift is... in what way? What were you...
Like your biggest shift in the sense of like consumer behavior, because you've obviously gone through the pandemic, you've gone through like the 2016, then Dubai kind of dived down in 2019, then the COVID-19, and now we're back on like this major health boom. How have you been able to, I guess, adapt that brand to ensure that?
So very, very interesting. So in 2020, when the pandemic hit, obviously there were certain hours or limitations that businesses were allowed to operate, especially in the food service industry. My brother and I were like freaking out. We didn't think that it was going to be, we thought we were going to like ruin our business. We thought, oh my God, everyone's locked down. No one's going to buy juices. We're screwed. Yeah. You know, so what happened was the timing we were lucky. You know, during the pandemic, nobody wanted to spend money on anything except to build their immunity. Yeah. You know, they wanted to be immune to the coronavirus. They wanted to be immune to getting sick. So what did they do? The only thing that they would buy would be juices. So we were so amazed at like the influx of orders. So if anything, the pandemic helped us. Yeah. You know, we were lucky for that three-month lockdown period. The pandemic helped us. It helped catapult the brand back into relevancy when the pandemic ended. There was a slight decline in around 2021, early 2022, where people were like trying to recuperate their cash, getting back to work, saving more. So nobody wanted to spend on a luxury product like an organic juice. But nowadays, towards the end of 2024, early 2025, skyrocket.
I can imagine.
The world is shifting to health and wellness. It's global. I mean, if you don't see it online on TikTok, on Instagram, then you should be opening up your phone, because every trend out there is something to do with longevity, ice bath, wellness, biohacking, immunity.
It's crazy.
You know,
and you know, the thing is, I think it's great. I feel like we all left the pandemic, we were being healthy, we were watching our 10,000 steps and everything, and then everyone just wanted to party and let loose. But then everyone remembered how good they felt in the pandemic when they were looking after their body, and I feel like that's what everyone's kind of going back to. And having your businesses within these spaces, and obviously your Fio Athletic, how have you been able to have the mindset to manage 3 separate companies, all within the same industry, which is very much catapulting and on such a trend? How have you been able to manage it all?
So I'll give you a little failure in a sense, because nothing's always like bright and shining, right? So the lab studios took me about 2 years to fully construct. We signed the lease end of November of 2021. We started construction of March 2022, and we officially opened August of 2023.
How did it take so long?
We were in residential buildings, so obviously there was a lot of limitations of the hours of work, delays with the project as well, with the contractor, funding. You know, it was just a big project. When you do come to the lab, you'll see the scale of it.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's amazing. But for other people, you need to see it. But how did you, like, most business owners would be like, how did you?
I mean, that was a very anxious time in my life for that 2-year period. You know, luckily I had the other brands that were kind of like financing it, right? But I had this big idea, I had this big vision to recruit a team of, let's say, 10 colleagues, 10 employees, and work on 3 separate brands together, you know, all at once. I had this big idea, oh wow, you know, I'm going to have 3 brands. They're all going to be operating at full scale. Yeah. It's going to be wild. I'm going to be this like top shot entrepreneur. Everything's going to go my way. So when we had just opened the lab, the first 6 months, when you literally open the doors, for the first time, everyone's like, oh my God, it's so exciting. But me as the founder, I'm like, oh my God, my overhead's just increased by 10. You know?
I now have to pay 10 lights on. Shit.
You know? So I was like, okay, if tomorrow we're opening the doors, that means everyone's payroll starts. Yeah. You know? So for me, that was a massive anxious time because we had to make sure we hit target. We had to make sure we were going to hit that amount of clientele per day. long story short, in the first 6 to 8 months of running the lab studios, we were still growing. It's normal for a brand to get up off its feet. You know, you still need some time to invest in the brand, invest in the marketing, tell the story, continually tell the story, and then people will eventually adapt. No one's going to come on day one, right? They want people to talk about it, then come.
Yeah.
So in that 6 to 8 month period, I was still managing the other brands. Everything was fine because I had that free time.
Yeah.
But I remember in March, April of 2024, just about last year, we hit a surge. You know, the lab started experiencing a massive growth. It was right after Ramadan, early Eid. So the lab was achieving so much more than we had hoped to. And we had the idea of launching the Reformer Pilates studio. So I was overwhelmed. My team was overwhelmed because part of my team were also handling the other accounts. So I had put deadlines, I had put KPIs on my team, but when it came down to it, a lot of my team members were either working on one project, one brief for a different brand. So it kept coinciding that no one could focus on one thing.
Yeah.
And that's my fault because I stretched them too thin, right? And as a founder, I need to make sure that they can operate at their capacity with one project. Because if I stretch them too thin and they don't hit their KPIs, the brand fails.
100%.
So
do you know what's interesting about you telling this story, and sorry to butt in if I have, you've been able to reflect and pin it back on you, because some entrepreneurs would be like, no, why have you not done your job right?
Yeah.
But the fact that you can reflect and say, well, do you know what, it was actually me. I was not looking at the overall workflow, and I wasn't looking at the trends that were coming into place, and then nothing was getting done, and it just became like our cups were so full that we couldn't add any more and we couldn't do any more.
So at that point, I remember it was about April of last year, I had a conversation with my brother. He was still obviously involved in the day-to-day with Organic Press. I handed everything over to him. He's like, he can take the brand, he can manage the day-to-days. My involvement on a day-to-day standpoint would not exist anymore. So that alleviated one brand off my shoulders. Fio wasn't generating enough revenue at the time for me to give it my full attention. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to put that brand dormant for the time being. We still have the platform. We still have the collections online if you ever want to purchase, but I'm not releasing anything at the moment. So what I'm doing with that brand is I'm just using my manufacturing suppliers to produce the merchandise for the lab. That way, my entire team is now focused purely on the lab studios. And I remember when I've given my team the full reins on just one project, on just one brand, from April of last year till December, I would say, at the end of the year, that was a huge shift in our turnover. Like the brand catapulted incredibly from March to the end of the year. I was just so amazed at the growth because sometimes it just feels so surreal. You know, you get that imposter-like syndrome that I can't believe that we've created this. I didn't expect this to be this big, this quick. It's only been a year and a half, right? So sometimes I like knock on wood, you know, and I pinch myself and I'm like, you know what, guys, like, wow, we've done this, you know.
But do you know how I think you've been able to do it is you're speaking about your gym as a brand, and not many people do that. People look as a gym. You go there to exercise, whereas you're looking at it as a brand. It's a community. It's looking at it from a complete different aspect, that you're building something someone wants to be a part of. How do you think you've fundamentally found that value from removing the term gym to calling it a brand? And what is a differentiate? What would you do? How would you differentiate your gym to the brand?
Honestly, the lab studios isn't a gym. It's a collective wellness space where everyone can come in and be themselves. Really, it's a community of people that love doing what they're doing. You know, and sure, we offer fitness activities. Sure, we offer things that will help you with your health, with your wellness. But if you come to the lab, it's a community space. It's a communal space. Like it's a social wellness club. You know, just to put it out there. You know, you come in and it's a social club because you're meeting tons of people that are interested in the same things you're interested in. It's got its wellness aspect to it, and it's a club because you're going in there and you're having a great time. You know,
you're having a party on a bike.
Pretty much, yeah. You're having a party, yeah.
And how would you say you've like told that story of the gym isn't a gym? It is a collective club. Have you really focused on storytelling to make that brand?
You know, it's crazy because when we started off the brand, it was never about we have to do X, Y, and Z. I think it was always about be yourself, be original, be who you are as a team. you know, because each one of us as a team member, we all have different personalities.
Yeah.
And I always stress to the team is we need to be as original and as authentic as possible, because right now, everything you see on social media, let's be real, is probably fake. It's probably staged, right? And consumers can see through that now. You know what's an ad and you know what's not. You know what's original and you know what's not. It's so crystal clear. So for me, it's always about be original. Be as authentic as possible. Show your personality, because that's what the consumers see.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, a gym's a gym.
Yeah.
You want to exercise, you can exercise. But why do people want to be part of the lab? Because it's a brand, it's a community. They go there, they feel good.
They come out feeling amazing.
Yeah, so that's what sets the brand apart from the gym.
Yeah.
You know, because you're not going to promote, hey guys, come to the lab and train and lift some weights, because that's not going to sell.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think, do you know what, for any entrepreneur listening or thinking, I think it's something they should really take from this is how to build a brand. Because I think a lot of people forget, whether they're in sales, whether they're in whatever industry they're in, they forget it's you or it's the story behind what you're doing that is the reason people want to be a part of it. And I think it is very key for anyone that wants to be successful. With that saying, with Fio Athletic, what's been your biggest struggle there? Because you've said that's dormant, it's been put to the side because the lab is your baby. But what's made you put that to the side?
So with Fio Athletics, one of the main reasons why I pushed it to the side is because for Fio to be successful, and I'm pretty sure I notched it down on the point, I need to be the face of the brand. Because today, product brands or product companies need a person in front of it.
Yeah.
You know, people are not buying your product anymore. People are buying you, right? You need to tell your story. And that's why the lab is so successful, because myself, my partner, and the team are in front of the camera. We are telling our story with the lab just right there, right? So people are buying into us. They're not just buying into the product and service that we offer. So with Fio, it requires myself to be the brand image.
Yeah.
I need to tell my story, you know, and I think the day that I do that will be the day that Fio will get back into action. Hopefully soon.
I'm sure it will. What has been your biggest learning from that, though? Because obviously, having a clothing brand, having a juice, you touched on at the very start, you have a company in every single industry, which is amazing. And what some people would just not dare to do, they're like, I'm really good at F&B, so I'll stick to F&B. But you've put your toe on everything. Having this clothing and product alignment, what was your biggest, like, struggle, learning curve, we can put it in any way, from having that compared to the other two businesses?
The biggest struggle, I would say, with Fio was because I didn't understand the business model entirely. For me, I thought, it's simple. Let me buy 100 shirts and let me sell them at markup and I'll be killing it.
Yeah.
Let me do that 20 times over 20 different products, and simple as that.
Yeah.
But it's not like that. It's definitely not like that. So there's a whole stage of like designing and manufacturing the product range, right? And designing and manufacturing the product range takes about 3 to 6 months. And in that 3 to 6 month period, you have to look at every single sample, you have to pay for samples, and then you have the upfront cost of the entire collection. Because you've got maybe 10 different items. Within 10 different items, you've got 5 different colors.
Yeah.
And each of them have a minimum order quantity of about 100, 150 pieces. So you're looking at a collection of about maybe 5,000, 6,000 pieces, right? But you have to purchase in bulk that entire 5,000, 6,000 pieces of product. And you're looking at a close to maybe about 200,000-300,000 dirham investment, right? But when you get that product, you're 200,000-300,000 down in the hole, but then you have to market the product.
Yeah.
And on top of marketing the product, requires another investment, but you need about 2-3 months to market that product, right? So whatever your marketing budget was, you add on to that. But after marketing the product, you have to direct your product to people on your website.
Yeah.
But people aren't going to buy a brand that they don't know about, right? People want to buy a brand that other people are wearing. So initially, you have to go through a wholesale route to at least generate some sort of income through a distribution, right? But even wholesalers and distributors now, because there's so many clothing brands out there, they're very picky with who they recruit or who they sign on. They want a brand that's famous, that's going to make them money, not a no-name brand, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't think of that. I didn't think of any of that. So I'm like, all right, I'll invest all this money and I'll promote it online. I'll do a couple of ads, send it to a couple of influencers, and everything will be fine. I was completely wrong. So I was like, oh my God, I've got all this stock. What am I going to do with it?
Yeah.
You know, I sold like maybe 20-30% of it, but how do I keep the brand relevant? And in order to keep the brand relevant, you have to introduce new things, right? New product, which means reinvesting again, right? Refinancing.
It's like a wicked hole.
Exactly. So it's like, how can I sell my product if I haven't sold much of my previous collection and now I have to reinvest new items?
Yeah.
So I didn't think of all of that, so like you said, it's a vicious circle, right? But I think the reason why Fio didn't take off the way it did, number one, we launched right before COVID, so that kind of like hit us. Number two, there wasn't a person in front of the brand. I should have taken the leap and been in front of the brand, because people buy people.
100%.
People don't buy just a product.
Yeah.
Right? And we know that now.
Yeah.
Right? Most entrepreneurs right now are getting in front of the camera.
Yeah.
No matter what industry they're in, they are now in front of the camera.
I think, do you know what? Out of every business, and I stress it so much online, on the podcast, you have to try it. And Fio is kind of like I guess, it was a project that you wanted to try, step your foot in, and there is no failure, and it's still running. But I always think that you sometimes have to take these leaps of faith, and as long as you can look at it as like a lesson, which you're so great at doing, we can see in this, you can always pinpoint, like, well, we didn't do this, but we could do it again. And I think it's really interesting, especially when you're in a new market like Dubai. You had different factors, economic factor, COVID-19, that you can still go, do you know what, I tried it and it's fine. And it didn't give you the fear to be like, I'm not going to do a business again. It gave you, I guess, more passion to be like, I'm going to smash 100%. The lab and show you that 100%. I can do it even better, which I think is amazing. Over the last, however, 10 years you've been an entrepreneur, living in Dubai, before going to LA and everything, where can you see now your businesses develop and grow in Dubai? Because obviously everyone knows it's so fast paced, and we've seen how different the trends have been within 6 months. Where can you see it going, and how is it going to benefit your brands here?
So to give you a little insight of what's going on right now with the Lab Studios, we're currently building our second location in Dubai Studio City.
Amazing.
We are working on integrating an ice bath and sauna experience upstairs in our downtown location. We are scoping out a third location, and we are looking at international expansion right now. So there's a lot that's going on with the Lab Studios, and I see the lab growing at a very exponential pace over the next 5 years. What's good with the verticals that I'm in is that they all complement each other, as you mentioned.
100%.
So with the growth of the lab, I see the growth of all the other brands collectively, because I see the lab as the umbrella corporation that kind of encompasses all the brands. So let's say 5 years down the line, the lab's got 10 locations worldwide. You'll see a Fio product in every single lab. You'll see an organic press product in every single lab. So the lab's growth will then tie into the growth of the other brands.
Which
and
is
that's
amazing.
How I always seen it from day one.
What would you say, going back to organic press, what are the main benefits of your, and this is so random, but what are your main benefits of your juice cleanses? Because this is what I always see on Instagram, and that's why I was so excited, because I was like, what do these do? What are the main benefits?
So look at it as the easiest and fastest way to consume your 3 to 5 servings per day of vegetables. The nutrients are immediately absorbed by your bloodstream, because your body doesn't have to break down any fiber. So you immediately consume nutrients of up to 3 to 5 kilograms of fruits and vegetables. Our juices are cold pressed. They're not blended. So you're pressing and compressing raw produce into juice form. So you're getting literally like nature in a bottle.
Amazing.
And then obviously you've got the different kinds of juices. You have the ones which are like more geared towards immunity. You have your orange, your pineapple, your turmeric. You have the greens. You've got your fruity ones as well for a little bit of sweet tooth. You've got your nut milks. And then we just recently launched some gut health drinks with some probiotics as well.
And I'm guessing you've mentioned biohacking and everything, and the benefits of whole foods is basically the core front of why biohacking is going to be amazing. Everyone's saying it. But what would you say that for entrepreneurs, which mainly listen to this, what would you say is the main thing to like look after themselves to be a successful entrepreneur like yourself, buy all these guts and fresh juices? What would you say?
Take care of your health. Take care of your mind. Exercise well, because if you're going to be an entrepreneur in a fast-paced environment, you need to be at your 100%. And if you're an entrepreneur and you've got a business already, your entire team look up to you, and you need to be the standing example of how to lead this business. And taking care of yourself is a very important aspect, because if you take care of yourself, that shows how you're going to take care of them. If you show up to business sluggish, overweight, just not taking care of yourself, how do you expect to lead a team to follow you? So
amazing, inspirational quote.
Yeah.
The best one yet, because that is something I believe in, and I also think people buy people, and although it's cliche and people probably don't like it, it's controversial. If you see someone overweight, not energetic, you don't want to work with them. You don't want to like do business. You don't think they're going to make you money. Where if you see someone energetic, glowing, excited, you automatically are drawn towards them and be like, yeah, let's go, let's do this.
Energy breeds energy, you know, and that was so the lab's tagline is embrace the energy.
Yeah.
You know, so that's our motto. That's how we run. You know, so energy feeds on energy, right? So you got to go into the studio with a big smile, just feeding off energy, because people will feed off of you. If you start your day sluggish and you're depressed and you're just like not happy to start the day, everyone's going to feed off that energy.
It's amazing.
Right? So,
what is your 5 a.m. routine to start your day the best?
So I wake up at 4:30.
Wow, that's like a flight time.
Yeah, so I wake up at 4:30 every day, but I'm in bed at 8:30.
Yeah.
So I have my wind down routine at like 6:37, and I'm in bed by 8:30, probably asleep by 8:45. I do that 6 days a week. Sunday's my lie-in day, but every morning I wake up. I tend to meditate. I don't have any coffee for the first 3 hours in the morning.
It's 3 hours, wow.
I like to exercise in the morning, get it done in the first thing in the day. But then there are days right now at the lab that I'm actually teaching some sessions. So I'm usually at the lab at 5:30, teaching a few sessions in the morning. I'll get my training done after, and then I've got a full day ahead of myself afternoon. So after 12 o'clock onwards, it's just work mode for Chris. I'm in the office, I'm speaking with the team, doing the meetings, and then I'm done at like 4 o'clock.
Amazing.
But honestly, there's something about starting the day when everyone's asleep. I know it's so cliche. You read that everywhere.
I mean, I'm the exact same.
know,
like 5 a.m. I'm like, woo.
But you wake up at 4:35 a.m. and you're out on the road where there's not a single car. You feel accomplished. You know? And you do that enough. And if you do that enough days, it compounds. You know,
100%.
and then you just feel that you've taken on the day before everybody else, and that sticks with you in your mind. You know, so if you have that mindset, it'll go with you. It will compound into your day.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for going on the show. It was so good,
it
and
was
I'm so
a
excited
pleasure.
to see the growth of all the brands in the next few years. But yeah, thank you so much.